Hey, Mike Gem here, your boy, Profundity, aka. Can't believe the Profundity name is out of the bag. I had it secret for so long. Gonna be taking a look at my top 4 match with a Rebel Spy. I want to do a little more in depth. Sadly, the game replay link isn't working, and we can't see my hand, so I'm gonna try and recap just what was going on in my hand. Will be set up, and then I'm going to breeze through this. It was a 43-minute 3-turn game, that's Star Wars CCG for you, and then take a look at the deck list. So one of the big things about what we decided to do when I was working on the deck with my team was whether or not we wanted to start the Profundity Puller or Walkling. And Profundity Puller is like a Walkling because you can stick a guided docking bay and you get the +1 generation. It just kind of makes everything sort of awkward because you want to flip with a starfighter or a pilot like Radis who you can shuttle up to the system, or like a starfighter that you can just fly up to the system. So that means that we have to do like a lot of movement, and it's awkward because you like move Riken out of the war room, which is who you want at the war room. So in the end, we decided to pull Walkling as the main one, even though we don't get Profundity in our opener, which is our best card. In space, we wanted to be able to pull Haven or a Presence of the Force, and also get the +1 generation at all times, even that first turn, without having to put someone at the docking bay if we didn't want. And then also, obviously, get the retrieval, which could be huge. So there's like no retrieval in the deck otherwise. So it was just really huge to potentially retrieve something like the Profundity or like Luke, a Radis, anything that could be really, really important. A BB-8 if he played map, which we thought was one of the decks that he'd play. So one of the things I wanted to mention, but we kind of breezed through, is that the pulls I made, I pulled Riken and Dibdona first and didn't use Rebel Leadership. I actually wanted him to grab Leadership so I could loop Rescue to find all my ships. So I purposely waited on Leadership, but he refused to grab it. So, or he kept pulling things, and finally we thought it would be too obvious. I thought it would be too obvious rather if if I played it. So, but that was the plan originally when we had talked about how I wanted to set up, was trying to get him to grab Leadership. But in the end, I decided, you know what, if I can pull this off without him grabbing anything, then that's fine too. My hand was also insane. It had the Bright Hope, Profundity, which settled the whole argument about whether or not I should take the puller. It's so nice in one game when I just ripped the Profundity. I didn't really have to worry about finding it at all. But I had the Bright Hope and I had the Spiral, which was absolutely massive, which meant I could go really, really light to space, which I end up doing. So Olsen activates. I don't think he does anything other than play his sites. I think he got a lot of sites. We're going to fast forward. Yeah, he got his docking bay, the blockade bridge. He started the Coruscant that becomes a battleground, which seemed really awful. I was pretty excited when I saw that because it meant that I could go there without the Tantive. I could just play essentially any ship there and it would become a battleground. It would allow me to not play my own Jakku as my second system by creating a battleground system that if he chased me there and I moved away, I can strand him there. So we're just going to fast forward a little bit because, alright, so we'll move to my turn so this is where I dropped the hallway, I put Dodona in the war room and then moved him over after using, actually, you know what, I decided to put Dodona in the hallway and not pull the Y-Wing first. I didn't want him to think about Gold Leader and Gold One's ability. I didn't want him to be privy to that, sort of out of sight, out of mind. So I didn't put Dodona to the war room first. I'd end up moving him over after I flip. So one of the things that's important is always drawing your last card with EBO. I've played a bunch of EBO, and you never want to leave a force active. You might, obviously if the location's there, you want to make sure that you can pull it next round, but you don't always get to know every of the 49 cards or whatever that are in your deck. So we don't have to grab anything, and just making sure that we have access to full information of what's in our deck, and then we don't fail any of our pulls in the next turn. So I always draw up first turn when I'm playing EBO, and I don't leave any force active. So this turn, Joe decides to draw to 23, I think, and we're going to fast forward a little bit. 22, does he go to 23? No, he doesn't. He stays at 22. So this, I have a tough decision. Like, I've got the Spiral. I've also got Poe and Rey in my hand, which is really, really strong. That one card that I drew up, I believe was Rey. It was another good card. It might have been Hera. I really wish we could see what that one card was. Oh, you know what? It was Red 8. So then I had 2 React ships, and it was just like, oh my god. So because I have 2 React ships, I feel really, really safe about playing Radis to flip to play EBO, aka flip. And then I drop the Bright Hope to Hoth, and then I shuttle up for free using Riken's game text. Riken at the War Room is pretty busted. I had thought about cutting him for a little while and playing Bleasix. But I thought that there was a glitch in Jemp with the way it was coded, and my opponents were still like drawing multiple battle destinies, so I just went back to Riken, which ended up being huge because it allowed all my movement for free, which was just massive. So I'm able to play the Bright Hope, and I think I end up saving 4, and Dodona goes into the War Room, and then I wait to pull the Y-Wing because because the Y-Wing says Gold Leader and Gold One says that, well, he's a system. To draw Battle Destiny, opponent has to spend a force to do it. So if I can catch him with 0 force or 1 force, then that means he can't draw more than 1 Destiny, even if he has lots of adders, which is sort of like DS Space's thing, especially in ISB, Imperial Command, etc. So right now I'm just trying to decide whether or not I can go to the Bright Hope alone. But with Red 8 and the Spiral, I feel pretty confident. I'm just sort of like making sure that I'm not missing anything. So fast forward a little bit here, you see it with the Bright Hope, and then I shuttle up Radis, and I move Dodona in. And then I fully expect, he's got 22 cards in hand, he's activating 11, he's going to have 13 total. I fully expect him to come down with some space. I had 2 reacts, and I want to fast forward to that situation, because it's pretty interesting. I was thinking, the only card he could really have that blows me out for 2 reacts, because I didn't think he'd have barrier in like the chances of him. So like, I wish actually Jerry and Chris like mentioned this, but when he plays Blast Door Controls, I actually write RIP in the text in the chat because I wanted him to think that I had barrier, which I didn't. So he comes down with Boba Fett in Slave 1, with the 2 separate cards, which is pretty interesting. He goes Poltredium, and he decides to go for the flip without Ozzel, which I thought was really strange, but I understand, like, he wanted Poltredium to make his attrition against him -3, but I also have the Lightbringer. I pulled, you'll see, one thing we did skip is that Haven's on Hoth, and I pulled the Lightbringer with Radis to make sure Haven was in my deck when I pulled it. So he knew that I had Lightbringer, which cancels immunity. So it was really interesting. Oh man, they're hitting us with an ad in the middle of my video. This is insane. Star Wars CCG PC. This commercial looks amazing though. It's a Geico breakdancing commercial. Alright, back to the game. So he plays Tarkin, who's really, really good, except there's one card that blows out Tarkin. I wonder if you can name it. So he can cancel up to 1 of our destinies. And he decides to go with Tarkin over Ozzel because he has Tredium, and he plays the guy that lets him activate more, I believe is what he did. Well, actually, just take it slow through this. I just don't know how slow it's going to go. I'll increase to 1.25 speed and see if that doesn't help. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure he wouldn't play Barrier, so the only thing I'm really worried about is Sense, but at the same time, he only plays low ability characters. So yeah, he plays Wolf Yularen, and he activates 3. And I'm not sure what he does with 3, because I don't think he plays anything, because that ship is at capacity. So you see the Bright Hope with another Rebel capital ship. It draws a Destiny. That triggers at the end of battle, which is interesting. And I think we'll see Joe actually like not wait to cancel that Destiny, because he didn't know if Tarkin could cancel that Destiny, because it's sort of like an outside the battle Destiny. So he's got 3 active, and I'm just waiting to see. I think it's relevant to see if he draws here, because I don't know what else he can do. Oh, he uses 1 to battle, right? And so we react with Red 8, and he has the Sense. And I honestly think about grabbing it, because I know I have Gold Leader and Gold 1 coming, and if he does have the second Sense, then he would have to use both Force to do it, and then he wouldn't be able to draw any Destiny next turn. I wouldn't have to worry about barrier or anything. In the end, I say, he's got 14 cards in hand. The chance of him playing 2 senses in his deck are pretty low, but as a result, he draws Cold Feet, and that's he had to draw 2, and all his characters have 3 ability, so he fails there. And so I think like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then the second sense comes out, and I'm like, oh shit, I definitely should have grabbed the first one. That would have been a complete blowout play. But then he draws a 3, and like I said, he needed to draw 2, so that's really rough. Ice Beat does have a lot of low Destiny, but you still have to like catch a 1, and a lot of those guys are like randomly have like 3 ability Destiny there. So red 8 comes down, and it's 10 to 10 because of EBO just gives me so much power. And then if I play another ship, it's going to be the spiral. Sorry, the spiral's power is 5, plus it gives Radis another power. And it also gives me something of high forfeit, so I don't have to lose Radis, because red 8's forfeit is only 3. So right now I'm choosing whether or not I want to react with the spiral, and these are both free. Spiral reacts for -2, EBO gives it -1, and Haven gives it -1. So red 8 and spiral both came down for free. So you see my power go up actually 6 because of Radis' text, which is pretty cool. He adds a Destiny, and then I do get to subtract now also, which is pretty huge, because so that was another reason why I definitely going down to the spiral. That's also why I decided to react with the red 8 first, because if he did have a canceller, then red 8 would bounce back to my hand, but I could still play spiral and play that, and then get that subtract trigger here. So he's 11 in 2 Destiny, 16 in Destiny, minus my Bright Hope. Sorry, my Bright Hope. Draw. Things are going slow. I really wish Chris and Jerry didn't have the box covering their thing. So I think he draws a 7 total or 8 total. I think he drew 3, 5, and then I rip a 1 here. That's my 1 for Battle Destiny. I get 2 Destiny. So I rip 1 and 1. Oh, Haven adds the Destiny, right? So I rip 1 and 1, not ideal, losing the battle. But my Profundity draw, I'm pretty sure is 4. And that changes his, that changes his attrition to 3. As we can see, 7 minus 4 is 3. So then I only have to lose red 8, and that is pretty massive. So we'll go to my turn. This looks like to be the battle aftermath. He didn't have to lose anything. He was completely immune. So I only drew 2. He draws a card, and then like after he draws is when I pull my gold leader and gold 1. So we'll see. I have 14 force total. I drop Profundity. I drop the Lightbringer, which cancels his immunity, which is pretty huge. I have Ray, Poe, and Hera in my hand at this point. So I drop gold leader and gold 1. So now he can only draw 1 Destiny. And then in a second I drop Poe and Ray. And I'm trying to probably Poe then Hera then Ray, because I'm trying to use as much of my force as I can to get the best Ray pull. And there wasn't a lot. Oh, so there it is. The Mon Calamari Admiral. He says that my Battle Destiny draws cannot be. They'll probably click on. While piloting a Rebel capital starship, opponent may not modify or cancel your Battle Destinies here, which means Tarkin does nothing. It's like a huge blowout. When we cut the Profundity puller, we decided to cut Akbar, because Akbar was expensive and only works on the Profundity, so we decided to look at other admirals, and I thought that one was just sweet. And he ended up being a huge blowout, which is just funny, because, sometimes you make these meta calls and they don't matter. So I dropped Poe, and at this point I had Hera, and I've got 7 left. I'm just trying to figure out if I have enough force to move over, if I want to move over. Turns out only gold leader, none of my ships can actually make it to Coruscant from Hoth. None of them have Hyperspeed 5. So I do my Ray, use Pal Search, and I pull leadership, because I'm just thinking it'll be good for next turn. And then the kicker here, and I'll fast forward a little bit, the kicker here is that, so I pulled the leadership, it wasn't anything great, but I also do the bottom of force pile pull, and it's Wedge in Red Squadron 1, which is just hilarious. So I play that, because against the Slave 1 adds a power Destiny. and it was also just like free, or cost 1. So we're 46 power. Actually, it's kind of funny to see how the power jumps. We're 35, but because of Haven and Radis's text, we jump 11 power. Radis is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more, and then Haven gives us 3. So at this point, I realize he doesn't have Ozzel. He can only draw 1. I don't have to limit him because Gold Leader and Gold 1, he only has 1 force. So I just add 1, like, to make it hurt. And then we've got the Power Destiny. He's at 14, and he's only going to be able to draw 1 Destiny. So we've got 5 Battle Destiny here. And I draw incredibly well, considering I drew 2 1s the first turn. I draw like all 5s and 4s. And in the end, it's 67. He draws a 2, so it's 67 to 16, and that presents the forces on his use pile. In the end, so like he forfeits his 23 left over, and I'm just like waiting, and this is going to make us wait more to see if he has the Gick or not. Spoiler, he doesn't, and the presence goes off the top. My phone starts blowing up with a million texts, and we just, all collectively laugh. These guys are like in shock as these forces just tick off. And then because I ripped the wedge, I actually had a ship that could make it to to make it to Coruscant. In the end, I think Joe has like 6 cards in hand and just a few in his force pile. And I just move Wedge over because I just don't think he's got 10 and 6. I just don't think there's anything to really worry about. So this Coruscant's so bad for him because if I move there, it's Battleground, but he can't have Black Sun agents because he's not playing the Black Sun objective. So he's not going to have ones to make that. I don't think he is, at least. I didn't watch all the cards play. And then so he comes down to the 4th marker. This is actually pretty interesting. He plays Evax and Ozzel down to the 4th and moves a Sane inside, and that actually flips him because he controls 2 rebel base locations, which a lot of people forget is the secondary way that ISP flips. But this isn't a Battleground, and I have a ton of crap to just drop, and that's basically it. I drain for a ton this turn, and then just drop everyone at the 4th marker, and that's GG. So the only thing I wanted to do was talk about the deck a little bit. So I got the deck list up, and some interesting choices that we made as a team here. I get this list from Chu, and then obviously worked on it myself. Made some changes, talked to him about it. Like I mentioned, we decided to go with Walkling. Just like maybe the best card ever printed, thanks Eric Hunter. So the Profundity Killer, some things to note. One of the reasons why I wanted him to grab Leadership is just because I wanted to go to Luke to be worse, which obviously made it takes damage. And Rescue in the Cloud, because I have a rescue for all my ships, which will be really important. Some of the more interesting calls here. Justin made me play 3 Irish missions, which sucks because it really made the deck tight, but we were worried about Huntdown. Justin didn't believe that we'd be able to beat Huntdown. This had Huntry Falcon going to date, but I said to go solo. Down to being able to basically get another interest on the lost style, whether it be a barrier, a rebel leadership, it could be really anything like that. I was looking for another ground character that was potentially just like hard to kill, and I decided to keep it at 4th because he's in this position. And then he would work as a leadership in space if I needed to spread out, and I really needed something to protect my draws. So I thought that would be really good, especially if leadership got grabbed, and also just because while this deck can draw a shitload of Destiny, it's got Poe, it's got Lando, Hera, Solo, leadership, Haven. That just I could also just drop sheer power, which is really, really good. Another interesting call that I made is I wanted to solidify the ground and being able to hold a Battleground so that I could drain for free, which is one of the reasons why I went with the fully immune Yoda. I also played Blue 11. I wanted a vehicle, even though obviously everyone plays P59. Move 4 isn't great. I felt like there was space for me to play this vehicle. I also like that against map, it can pull a non-pilot rebel of ability less than 5, who is the Rebel Princess Leia. So I could pull Leia, shuttle her up from to Hoth, and then move her over to Starkiller base, and in one turn set up drain canceling against map, which can be kind of aggro against me. Especially if they're smart enough to not let me Virgins the drain for a 3 site, like when Kylo has the saber. So it's pretty interesting. Only one controlled tunnel vision because made the concession to run multiple rescue in the clouds. Space package is pretty standard Rebel fare, just like Bright Hope, Corvette, Gold Leader, and Gold One, who's like a true MVP because Dodona pulls him when he's at a war room, can pull Y-Wing. This Green Leader in Green Squadron 1 is super dope. He adds Destiny with a Snub Fighter and can cancel attrition. Canceling attrition is really big. It's also why I played the Lightbringer. Cancels all immunity attrition, which is just like completely insane. Obi and Radiant for the anti-cloak. Much Anger in him combo is pretty rough for me. I mean, I auto have to lose before, but I can just shuttle someone down under the shields, which is kind of nice. Profundity, obviously, Red 8, which we saw. Spiral, Tantive, and then Wedge to round it out. And then only one effect puller because chances, like, obviously taking the Radiant is nice, but also with Walkling to pull any effects. End up with an It's a Hit for some neighboring protection. Ellis protection should should I actually go to the ground and try and hold a battleground. And then effective repair is just to get a ship back if needed, cancel lateral, which is awesome. Or just place a card stacked on strategic reserves in the lost pile, which, it's just a nice little utility. And then, I could also just retrieve a starship in hand if I needed to. Jen being my sole undercover spy. And, just want to give a shout out to Moncal Admiral, Double Dot, Leader, being a true boss. So that is the deck. Pretty standard EBO fare, but I thought it'd be really good, and I love playing EBO. Just don't forget to put in your Corn Horn Shield for Jeb's Prize when you play this deck. That's the only thing I can recommend, other than I think this list is really good. It's definitely good against DS Space right now. It can drop a ton of power, as we saw, and if you have the benefit of someone trying to predict what you're going to play in an event like the OCS Top Cut, then doing something like this, a pivot that people haven't seen for quite a long time, is kind of sick. So, all right, that's it. That was 22 minutes. I think that's enough. Thanks for watching. I'm out. See you in the finals.